Hello, my friends. I just want to tell you that this has been a hard week. I started my new job and it is a learning curve. Just sit with me a little bit. Last week, we talked about who you choose to give authority to speak into your life and the lives of your children. So today I want to expand on that topic a bit because this is something about myself that took me years to admit out loud. For a long time, I believed it was my job to control my children's lives. Not in a mean way, although I can be mean at some times, and my children can tell you that I was. My intentions were pure. I wanted to protect my children from others. I grew up as a pastor's kid and the daughter and granddaughter of pretty influential people in our very small town at the time. All eyes were on me and my behavior, and my instinct was to want to keep my children from those prying eyes. And I told myself I wanted to be the one who decided what they listened to, what they played with, who they played with. And I thought, this is my assignment. This is what a good mother does. She stands guard. And then God started putting other people into my children's lives. And my children started listening to them, sometimes more than they listened to me, especially in those teenage years. And I'm sorry to confess, I did not handle that gracefully. I fought it. Sometimes I fought it longer than I should have. So today we're talking about the ones you didn't choose and what it takes to open your hands and trust God with your children. Welcome to Raising Children Who Love God, the podcast for the mom who wants her children to genuinely love the Lord and who's willing to do the hard heart work it takes to get there. I'm Dr. Rita, and around this table, we keep telling each other this truth. It's not simple, but it can be done. Grab your coffee and your journal. Come sit close. Today, I'm going to be honest with you about one of the hardest lessons God ever taught me. Let me connect where we've been because these last two episodes belong together. Last week, I told you to guard the table, to be wise, even a little protective about who you let counsel you and speak into your children's lives. And I meant every word. Discernment is real and it matters. But there's another side to this. And if I only gave you last week's episode, I'd be handing you half truths. Because here's what no amount of good discernment can change. You cannot be the only voice in your child's life. And you were never meant to be. There's that part you choose, the wise, safe people you invite in on purpose. And then there's the part you release. The coach, the teacher, the friend, the parent, the youth leader, the whole widening world your child steps into as they grow. You don't get to handpick all of those people, and you can't lock the door and keep your child inside forever. So last week was about discernment, and this week is about surrender. Last week we guarded the table, and this week we open our hands. And honestly, opening my hands was so much harder than guarding the table ever was for me. Let me say something kind to the moms who are gripping tightly right now because I was that mom. There is nothing wrong with your instinct to protect. It is holy. God gave it to you on purpose. From the moment they're placed in your arms, something in you rises up to shelter them, to shield them, to stand between them and anything that could hurt them. That's love. That's your job. So don't let anyone shame you for it. But here's the trap I fell into, and maybe you have too. Somewhere along the way, I stopped trusting God to protect my children and started believing it all depended on me, on my vigilance, on my control, on me managing every input, every influence, every person. And do you know what that does to a mother? It exhausts her. It puts a weight on her shoulders that was never hers to carry because it's a weight that belongs only to God. The instinct to protect is a gift, but when protection curdles into control, it stops being faith and it starts being fear. And fear is a terrible way to mother. Fear is always the worst foundation for a decision. And we might do an episode on that later. But somewhere in there, God had to teach me the difference between guarding my children and gripping them. So here's the truth about myself. I wanted to be in control. I wanted to be the one deciding what my children were listening to, who they were playing with, what was going on in their hearts and minds. I genuinely believed that that was my job. That if I just stayed in control of every influence, I could guarantee how they turn out. And then came the season, and if you have teenagers right now, you know exactly the season I mean, when God began bringing other voices into their lives, and my children started listening. And like I told you, if I am honest, they listened to them more than they listened to me. And I did not like it. I fought it. I cried. I resisted. Sometimes I held on longer than I should have, long past the point where God was clearly saying, Rita, open your hands and trust me with them. I'm telling you this not because I'm proud of it, but because I think you need to hear a mother say it out loud. Wanting control is normal, and losing your grip on it feels like losing them, but it isn't. I promise you, it isn't. Because here's what I couldn't see in the middle of my white knuckle grip. The very people I was resisting were often the exact people God was sending in answer to my own prayers. I was praying, God, surround my children with godly people, and then arguing with him when he actually did it. Isn't that just like us? Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me back then. 2 things, and you have to hold them both in your heart and your mind. First, it's going to happen, and you're going to have to be okay with it. Your children are going to listen to other people. They're going to be shaped by their voices, those voices that aren't yours. And then this is the part that I resisted. That's okay. That's not the plan failing. That's the plan working. You are raising and discipling them to walk with God out into the world, not to stay tucked under your wings forever. Other godly voices in their lives are not your competition. They are God's provision. Second, being okay with it does not mean going to sleep and forgetting about it. Surrender is not the same as passivity. You will still stay vigilant. You still pay attention. You still notice who's speaking into your children and what they're saying. But here's the shift. You do it on your knees instead of with your fists. That doesn't mean the conversations stop with your children. The conversations continue, and they should continue long into the night. But your prayer life needs to change, because the truth is this is going to take a lot of prayer, more than you think. You're going to spend real time asking God to bring godly people into your children's lives. And I want to give you the prayer that surprised me the most, the one I almost never hear anyone pray. I didn't only pray, God, send good people. I had to pray, God, give me grace and favor toward those people. Soften my heart so that when you send them, I can actually open my hands and invite them in. Do you hear that? I had to pray for myself, not only my children, because God kept sending the answer and I kept resisting it. So I had to ask him to change me, to make me a mother who could receive the very help that I had been asking him for. I have a beautiful daughter that struggled greatly during her teenage years. She's on the autism spectrum, but at the time we did not know it. 25 years ago, there were not too many resources, and the people we were reaching out for help were making things even worse because they didn't know anything that was going on, and they were giving us terrible advice, and we were at the end of our ropes. We didn't know what to do, and our prayers were fervent. My prayers for her were the same. Lord, send her people that will love her and guide her to you. But when God did, my reaction was bad, aggressive even, resisting with everything I had. I wanted to be the one to care and protect her, but I did not have what she needed at the time. I'm sad to say it took years to give in to God's plan for her life. Now, let me tell you where this story lands because I don't want to leave you in the struggle. I want you to hear the other side. Today, when I look back over all of it, all the resisting, all the gripping, all the seasons that I fought God longer than I should have, do you know what I feel today? Gratitude. Deep, deep gratitude. Because the people God brought into my child's life, the ones I was so slow to welcome, they truly impacted her faith and helped her heal her soul. They said things I couldn't say. They reached places in my child's heart that my mother's voice couldn't reach. God used them, and He was faithful to answer the very prayer that I'd prayed, even when I got in the way of God's answer. And you know what? Those people are still there, walking the walk with her. And as I see her today, as a caring, smart, successful woman, I know that God did what He does best. He loved my girl more than I could ever love her myself. And let me tell you what that does to your faith as a mother. It teaches you that He is more invested in their walk with Him than you are. That when you finally open your hands, you're not dropping your children. You are placing them into hands far stronger and far more faithful than your own. You would be surprised, my young friend, how faithful He is when you finally let go. So let me name what we're really talking about, because I don't want surrender to sound like giving up. Surrender is not you loving your children less. It's you trusting God with them more. Surrender is not going silent or passive. It's you moving from control to fervent prayer, from managing every influence to asking God to send the right ones. Surrender is not you abandoning your post. It's you finally believing that God is standing at the post you could never reach. In the classroom you're not in. On the field you're not on. In the conversation happening while you're miles away. Last week, I posted a reel on my Instagram about making conchas for a dear friend. And if you don't know what a concha is, you need to come to my house and try one. It's a pastry that requires quite a bit of kneading. When you first start, it is a sticky mess that clings to the table, resisting, and it takes a long while. Sometimes you even want to give up, but eventually it finally releases into your hands. That's what I'm talking about. Your children are not yours to grip. They're yours to release into the hands of the one who made them. And just like that dough, the releasing is where the growth finally begins. Theirs and yours. Open your hands and your heart, my young friend. It is worth it. So here's your one thing for this week. Just one, like always. I want you to pray a prayer you might never have prayed before. Not, God, protect my children from the wrong people. You've prayed that 100 times. This week, pray the other half. God, send the right people and soften my heart to receive them. Give me grace and favor toward the ones you bring, and help me open my heart to them. That's it. Pray for the people God will send into your children's lives. If they're still very young right now, start praying it now, so that way you have more years to pray it. And pray for your own willing heart to let them in. It won't undo years of staying in one prayer. It didn't for me. But it's the prayer that starts loosening your fingers one at a time. It's not simple, but it can be done. Thank you for sitting close with me today. I know this one asked something of you. If I met you where you are, share it with a mom who's holding on a little too tightly. She needs to hear that opening her hands isn't losing her children. It's trusting God with them. And if you want to keep planting the truest voice of all in your children's hearts, the one who will speak to them long after they've walked out your door, grab my free gift, Rooted, 7 Scriptures Your Child Needs to Know. You can find it at 4, thisgeneration.com. Until next Tuesday, open your hands, stay on your knees, and trust the God who loves your children even more than you do. Raise them rooted, Mom. I'll see you next week.